Hello, my name is Caleb Land, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my project, Georgia in Six Dishes. So, for my project, I wanted to allow teachers to use the design to either introduce or to supplement or to review material from the Georgia Standards of Excellence for eighth grade Georgia Social Studies. So, it try to make it as flexible of a course as possible. And what I'm going to show you tonight is one of the modules of that. So basically what I designed is one of the modules because each module lasts about an hour um, and lines up with some of the standards. And it ultimately would be a pretty good overview of the entire standards. Now, it's not obviously 6 hours is not going to teach everything from the entire course, but it's a good review, and then we tried to do it in a creative way to where it would give students another way to think about things and kind of bring it into the real world to one of my passions, which is cooking. And so kind of looked at the culinary history as a cultural expression and tried to hang some of those standards on some different foods from the past and how those foods represent those different cultures. And we also did this in a way where we wanted to gamify things. And so we gave people an option to choose different characters. So the students can choose any of the four characters they like. Each character has different
What's up?
personalities,
I'm Gabe.
backstories.
I'm an 8th grade student at Virtual Middle School in Atlanta, Georgia. I like video games and chess. I run track.
And you can hear
I'm
that
taking Georgia Studies, and I'm about to be.
here that we made this accessible to everyone, and so it's got some text-to-speech capabilities that go along with each of the slides as well. But if we choose Gabe, there's going to be a scenario, and obviously I muted the slide, but it's going to read the material for everybody in different voices, and so this one's our kind of narrator
Decide what to
voice
do.
here.
Maybe skip? Inside.
And you can pause the course if you want to, those kinds of things. So it's going to go on, but ultimately you're going to choose. So this is going to be dish 5, which is a civil rights Georgia dish. And so it's going to bring the students into a scenario. I'll let you hear it.
If you do, Lester Maddox will chase you off with an axe handle. Let's talk
So it
about
brings them in.
Maddox,
So one of the
then do some
standards for
digging
Georgia
about the
Studies is
infamous
Lester
Pickrick.
Maddox and the Pickrick restaurant and some of the civil rights battles that took place there. And so it's got some information about the restaurant. Again, all these have
Maddox used his
audio,
chicken and other food to
closed
gain a
captioning.
platform for his segregationist views through advertising that he took out in various Atlanta newspapers. His advertisements contained.
And so students will go and they can pause it, take notes, whatever they need to do, take off the closed captioning. But ultimately it's going to lead them through this scenario, and then there's going to be some sources for them to use. So in this particular scenario, the kid didn't study for his test since he's using a time machine to go back in time, and there's some articles there's some actual cutouts from some newspapers from the time period. There's some secondary sources as well, some videos, so different links for them to do. They have choice built in. They can choose one of each of these that they want to look at. And then there's some, checking for understanding. We're going to have to skip around this a little bit. But it goes through two different sides of the civil rights movement, basically. It goes through the Pickrick, which was sort of a whites-only establishment, and then it goes down to Pascal's Restaurant, which was a civil rights leaders would meet there to help plan marches, and the Pascal brothers would help pay for students who'd been arrested and those kinds of things. And so it takes you through those two different histories. Ultimately, there's going to be a little video from the teacher, from me, where I actually am going to. So this is where the food element comes into it. There's actually going to be making the dish itself. So you can see part of the making of the dish is part of it, and then during the middle of that, connect it with the standards, connect it with the Georgia standards while we're kind of waiting on the collard greens in this instance to get ready. And then the recipe is actually built in there. There are some multiple choice questions to check knowledge, and then there's also a final project that the students can choose and participate in as well. And then and then a little review if you would recommend the course to the students, to other students or not. And so I think I enjoyed this participating in this. I like the design of the project. I think it was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to participate.